How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Goosebumps number 8, The Girl Who Cried Monster. This is, of course, written by R.L. Stine and came out originally in May 1993. And it's sort of a boy who cried wolf story, but reinvented for the modern era, where a girl finds out that her local librarian is secretly a monster taking human form. Cool enough concept. This one I went in without much expectation for, though. I saw the cover, and I liked the cover. I just kind of wish they gave him his monster form instead. You see just kind of this wacky guy there. I do like the strange purple atmosphere, and I love her poking in from this red door, seeing what he's about to do. But overall, I didn't really know what to expect. I hadn't heard too many people talking about it, and I think, this is probably a Goosebumps hidden gem. Because, yeah, I don't even think it got reprinted in the last round of reprints. Brandon Donovan who did the new covers? I don't think it was reprinted there, and I'm like, this is actually a really good story. It really pulled me in and really got me invested, but I don't hear people talk about this one near enough, and it actually has some really good tension and ideas behind it. Stuff that I really like. It's in a library. That's a cool setting. But the library is like a converted old house, so haunted house meets library. And then plus the idea of, I know something, but how do I prove it? And the idea that the monster kind of suspects that someone's spying on him, but how much does the monster know? That's an interesting idea as well, so there's a bunch of tension as these two kind of play off of each other, a sort of cat and mouse game, kind of like all those mystery ones where you're hunting down a killer, but in a different setting where it's not just another murder mystery. There's a lot that's really cool, and I also kind of think there's this real world relatability where kids kind of just don't understand the adult world, and the idea that she's spying on this guy and going, what's he up to? I don't get him. I really think that that's a good, sort of commentary for, kids just looking at adults and thinking, boy, they're kind of weird, huh? And overall, this does a lot and just has really good tension and pacing, and yeah, no, definitely an underrated one. Definitely one that I wish more people were talking about. Let's go ahead and dive into the plot to analyze this further. I won't be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to comment on a few things. So, a little bit of a look at the plot. No significant spoilers. We open up with this girl. Her name is Lucy, and she likes monsters and telling monster stories, and she likes to scare people. She has her best friend who she can kind of get to be a little bit scared, but he's not super gullible. But her little brother is, and she'll go up every chance she gets. I think I saw a monster over there. The neighbor girl over there, she got attacked by the toe biter. And she just comes up with all these crazy stories. And she's a really likable lead character. If you're reading Goosebumps, you're probably a fan of monsters like her. But all these fun and creative stories she comes up with, you can totally see her growing up to be a horror writer. And I really did think our lead was really fun. Of course, though, the parents are getting sick of her pestering her younger brother, but this book also takes place in the summer, and she has reading rangers, where she goes down to the local library, reads a book each week, has a little conversation with the librarian to try to prove that she read it and get a sticker which will build up to some sort of prize at the end of the summer. And I do like a few things with this. The idea that she doesn't like most of these books and has to lie to the librarian in order to convince him that she did read the books. It's a funny gag, especially when it's echoed later with her trying to cover up something much more serious. And I do like they have kind of a rivalry before it gets serious. That's cool. But also, the librarian wanting to have her read the classics, and she just wants to read fun books with monsters in them. Yeah, you can totally see Stine talking directly to his audience, you know? Reading personally versus the reading you do in school, very different things, and I feel sad when I hear that school ruins reading for some people, because when they think of reading, they think of these books that they didn't really have too much interest in, you know? And that, yeah, that can kind of be sad, you know? She gets to read Frankenstein, and she's like, finally something with a monster in it. And she's like, I got most of the way through that one, but then it kind of lost me because it's too old, you know? So I did find an interesting commentary on the way kids really read. But the librarian himself, Mr. Mortman, Mort meaning death, Mr. Deathman, yeah. He's this kind of unassuming, quiet guy, and he's there, he's got his little pet turtles, and you wouldn't think anything of him. A little bit of a weird guy, but harmless, right? Well, she sneaks into the library when it's about to close because she's forgotten her rollerblades, and she sees the librarian with his jar of flies and thinks he's going to just feed his turtles. No, he is going to turn into a monster and eat them himself. And that's where the inciting incident occurs. His neck gets bigger, his head inflates, and his eyes shoot out. Crazy transformation sequence. I did look up what it looked like in the show, and you can tell that they were taking, you know, some notes from this. But again, I like this cover, but I really wish he was in his monster form or maybe halfway transformed, because I really want to see what this looked like, you know? I got an idea in my head, but I really wanted to see it, you know? But anyway, that's kind of where the cat and mouse game hits off, because she obviously tries to tell people, but she cried monster before, and they really did a good job hammering home just how often she does this and why exactly no one would believe her. And you really do get that right sense of, oh man, I shouldn't have messed with people quite so hard for quite so long. And she's going to have to keep going back to the library either for reading Rangers or just to spy on him. And when you're doing the spy sequences, it's like, did he see me? What's he up to? And then seeing him transform a few different times. And then the idea that you would have to meet him for reading Rangers, and you're having this meeting with this strange man, and you have to go, did he see me spying? What does he know that I know? And it's good tension each time going through this. Plus, again, set in a haunted house turned library. Really cool scenes, you know, creeping around that old library. That is a good setting right there. So, yeah, a good amount of tension, a good amount of back and forth, and it does lead to a really great ending, which I don't want to talk too much about because I don't want to ruin it for you, but a really good way this all wraps up. Overall, yeah, I'd say definitely a Goosebumps hidden gem that I wished more people were talking about. You know, everybody talks about a lot of the big Goosebumps books, you know, Horrorland, Night of the Living Dummy, stuff like that. I wish this one got a little bit more attention, you know. It is really good. It did keep me engrossed. And overall, for one I hadn't heard much about, just picked up kind of random, hey, let's check it out. It did turn out to be really, really good, and I definitely recommend this one. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my R.L. Stine playlist where you can see me talk about more Goosebumps, as well as some Fear Street books. I also talked about a few other things like Zombie Town, that was a fun little novella there, and Stuff of Nightmares, his new comic book, that was fun as well. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Stine playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.